ANC will this morning brief the media on the program of the 7th administration as reflected in the President's opening of Parliament address on Thursday. This briefing comes a day after members of Parliament expressed mixed reaction to the policy framework adopted by the new administration. Newzroom Afrika's Juniour Khumalo will be attending the briefing and is joining us now live. Juniour, good morning to you. I think give us a recap firstly of what we saw in that debate with members of Parliament and then what we're expecting to hear from the ANC today.
Indeed, Naledi, yesterday members of Parliament got to respond to that opening of Parliament address that was delivered by President Cyril Ramaphosa on Thursday evening. As was to be expected, excuse me, the official opposition in Umkhonto weSizwe and the EFF basically rejected all of the policy frameworks that were delivered by the president. They said that most of those policy frameworks do not basically aid any of the black South Africans, the majority black South Africans, from the struggles that they are currently experiencing, whether it be high poverty, unemployment, and all of the problems that they are facing. So they rejected that. But we also heard most of the GNU partners basically supporting the president, saying that despite there being a few differences when it comes to some of the policy positions, they still supported that policy that was delivered by the president, and they would work together to find each other in those areas where they still don't agree. When it comes to NHI, we know that the DA is not in full agreement with how the ANC plans to implement the NHI bill. There's also the sticking Bella bill when it comes to education and how the ANC seeks to take power away from school governing bodies as well. So that was another sticking stone. But the ANC Secretary General Fikile Mbalula is expected to brief the media at about 10 o'clock and just address some of those policy frameworks that were announced by the president. We remember on Monday when the Nehau, part of the affiliate of the COSATU, was hosting its political school, the alliance partners of the ANC expressed concerns over the ANC going into coalition governance with the DA, saying that the policy positions of the ANC might be diluted by some of the neoliberal policies of the DA. But from what we saw the president deliver, you would be mistaken. You would think actually that it was a manifesto launch of the ANC, because most of the policy positions contained in the manifesto that was launched by the ANC in February this year were contained in that opening of Parliament address by the president. But also we do expect the secretary of the ANC to speak about the ANC's performance here in the Western Cape. Already the ANC was struggling in the Western Cape. In 2019, they actually got about 28% of the vote, but this time around, they only got 19%. So it's a serious decline for a party that had basically committed a lot of its resources here in the Western Cape to try and win back support. We know that the premier of the Eastern Cape was deployed to the Western Cape to try and bolster that campaign of the ANC. And some of the former presidents also came here to the Western Cape to try and campaign for the ANC as well. We saw some of the veterans as well of the ANC coming to the Western Cape to try and campaign here. But despite all of that concerted campaign that was deployed here in the Western Cape, the ANC did perform badly. So we do expect the Secretary General to also address that, Naledi.
Yeah. One of the things as well that we've heard the president talk about in that opening of Parliament address, Junior, of course, was this issue of a national dialogue that's set to take place as well. And one wonders, what that is going to look like, who's going to be leading that process. And I imagine quite a bit of expectation as well for Fikile Mbalula today during this press briefing to also shed light on what the next steps are going to be.
Indeed, the president did speak about that national dialogue that the GNU partners want to have to put in place. They have not spoken about when they expect to have this national dialogue happen, who is going to be invited to this national dialogue. But yesterday we heard the EFF leader, Julius Malema, already indicating that his party will not be part of that national dialogue. He also said that they will be going to traditional leaders and the greater South African population and encouraging them not to be part of the national dialogue, because they were saying that if the GNU government really wanted to get solutions to the challenges that are facing the country, then this national dialogue should have happened before it presented presented the policy framework of the GNU for the 7th administration. So the EFF leader, Julius Malema, described it as a talk show and said that his party was definitely not going to be a part of it. But we had the IFP leader, who is also part of the GNU arrangement, saying that they will actually be attending this national dialogue and they will be part of that national dialogue. So we do expect the ANC Secretary General to maybe shed some more light on how they plan to host this national dialogue and when it's going to happen. The expectation was that the ANC would discuss this internally a few weeks ago. I think it was 2 weeks ago. The ANC Lekgotla was supposed to meet, but that meeting was postponed. There hasn't been any new date for that particular meeting. So we're not sure if the Secretary General of the ANC also has been instructed on this matter and would be discussing this matter or not, Naledi.
Yeah, all right. Well, we'll be watching those developments very closely, and thank you so much for bringing us the latest. Of course, when that press briefing does kick off just after 10 o'clock, we will be bringing it to you live here on Newsfeed AM, and keeping a close eye on it, of course, is our reporter there, Juniour Khumalo.